Hello once again, here we are at Fanboy Films. I'm E-Rock, and today is April 4th, and you know what that means.
Catch our studio's 3rd anniversary bash.
This, the night of my show's 5th year anniversary special.
This is our 6th anniversary, and I didn't realize this.
Not quite, everyone. It's the 7th anniversary of the Late Night Saga. 7 years ago today, it all started when I uploaded the Late Night War Part 2, aka the battle between Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien for control of The Tonight Show. And since then, it's just been a roller coaster ride. And I'm ready to celebrate. I got my late night snacks right here, and confetti's flying everywhere. So strap in.
Okay, I'll retire just to avoid what happened the last time.
Go to hell!
Probably the most frequent comment I get on my channel is, where's part 1? Whatever happened to part 1? I swear that I saw part 1 before, your part 1 that you made, and I just can't find it now. Did you take it down? Well, I have to tell you that I started with part 2, the war between Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien, because it was the YouTube era. There was plenty of clips available on YouTube that I could edit together in a way that I didn't think anybody else had at the time. I've been praised many times for leaving myself out of it, just letting the clips talk for themselves.
And this seemed to make a lot of people really upset.
Because you're taking sides.
Just the mere mention of Jay Leno's name makes me want to vomit.
The version currently on YouTube is 32 minutes and 56 seconds long. I had to shorten it. It had been up for several years when some piece in the middle got copyright claimed or whatever, and it was blocking the video worldwide. And at the time I was able to trim it. The original one was 33:28, only about 30 seconds longer. If you want to watch that one, it is up on Daily Motion on my channel there. The war between Jay Leno and David Letterman many years earlier, when Johnny Carson retired. Famously, Bill Carter wrote a book about it called The Late Shift, which was made into a movie.
Remember years and years and years ago when they were having meetings about were they going to give The Tonight Show to Jay or are they going to give it to me?
I do.
And they had a big meeting out there in Burbank, and Jay, bless his heart, was hiding in the closet. Do you remember that?
I did it twice.
What a mind fuck.
And that is pretty much what part 1 would be. Now, I would like to come out with my own version of part 1 someday, because I think I have found a few bits and pieces over the years that I could add to that even Bill Carter didn't put in there, or maybe just offer my own perspective on it. And unlike the Late Shift movie, which is a great movie, I would be using clips from the real people instead of doing a reenactment. So part 1 is my great white whale. It's still on my to-do list, and I will get to it someday, I promise.
Listen, how's NBC treating you?
Oh, good, you know, I mean, who knows? Okay, I guess.
I really have a YouTuber named Gallery to thank for my second video, and really the idea for making a series in the first place.
I'm not going nowhere. I'm right here every night. I'm not going nowhere.
I had included a brief clip of George Lopez in the Leno-Conan War, and Gallery commented and said, even though Lopez seemed to be playing along and being nice at the time, maybe he wasn't so happy about Conan coming and taking his time spot.
I am not getting Leno'd.
He pointed me to an interview with Howard Stern, and that became the whole basis for the second video, at which point I put up the banner Late Night Wars, which was the first time I had the two giant heads facing each other, which prompted me to redo the thumbnail for Leno-Conan, which I thought was much more eye-catching than the old thumbnail. So one thing about Lopez v. Conan is that even though I used the, series title Late Night Wars, it wasn't much of a war, was it? They pretty much were playing nice together the whole time. Sort of a preview of things to come. The third video I produced, which was just kind of a placeholder to just sort of put something out while I was working on my next video, was called How Brent Spiner Became the Voice of Conan O'Brien in the South Park movie. I should have just called it Rashomon. Sure. That's what everybody on my channel has likened it to.
Here you go, Conan. This little scrotum sucker deceived us! You are a bad man!
There's no war, obviously, but it is part of the bigger tapestry of the Late Night Saga, which is what my series eventually became.
We're losing the desk.
This is also notable because it's the first video where I used the blue curtain backdrop at the beginning, and now I've got a blue curtain of my own right here in the Content Distillery, Southern Oregon.
Have you spoken to Johnny Carson?
No, I called him twice. I'm very upset about this. And he didn't return my call.
Joan Rivers versus Johnny Carson, probably the most emotional of all the late night sagas I've put together. One of the hardest to get started editing, and but I think it really paid off at the end.
Johnny's an asshole. Why do you care about visiting his grave?
So I said, I'm going to his grave. You know, I'm going to go and dance on his grave.
This video is blocked almost everywhere in the world except for the United States. When I looked on the list, it was like 300 countries. There's not even that many countries, are there? So if you're outside the US and you want to see Rivers versus Carson, go to Dailymotion. I'll put the link in the comments below. It's blocked because only of one clip that I used right at the end, which is where Joan visits Johnny's grave. I hate when I find the perfect video to end one of my sagas, and then like that's the only video that causes a copyright claim. Should I cut it out and leave my video with no end? I just can't bring myself to do it, and that's why they're all copyright claimed. That's why Channel 1 is full of copyrights and will never be monetizable, which is why I started Channel 2.
I like this without the desk.
Losing the desk, which just is hilarious to me, that it all sparks from Leno's comment that how is the Jay Leno show going to be different from the Tonight Show? Well, we're losing the desk. But in every other way, it's exactly the same. Since I noticed that, I saw so many other people doing the same thing, like, we're going to change up this show and make it all different. How? We're going to lose the desk. Or maybe we're going to add a desk. And it's like, does it really matter? No, it does not.
There were a number of executives backstage here who are waiting for you and I to have a big fight, as they waited some years ago.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true. When I did the Today Show some years ago, they were waiting for Barbara Walters and I to hit each other and be carried out of the building with blood coming out of our foreheads.
One of my best videos, probably the most comments I've gotten, not the most views, but maybe the most well-liked and maybe the most one that I liked the most that I produced. Three's a Crowd. With his mentor and his colleague gone, Dave was left along with his one-time friend, colleague, and competitor, Jay Leno. This is the first one that I narrated. I got my friend Brian Berg to help me record. I went to the VO booth and laid down some lines, and he probably sweetened up my voice and made it sound better than it really is. I don't appear on camera, but that was the first time. I had sort of dabbled. I had done pop-up videos in the Rivers video, and then I had done some text-to-speech lines in the Lopez video because I didn't feel comfortable using my own voice at the time.
Conan may have actually saved Lopez from cancellation before second season.
And that was a mistake, I think. So this is really where I started to do more research and really look up articles and find pull quotes. And I may not have attributed, I may not have made it clear enough that the narration on the video is not my words, other than the opening and the closing that I wrote. Almost everything else in the video is a verbatim quote out of an article from a newspaper or magazine that I pulled off the internet. I did cite all the articles in the end credits of my thing. You know, I'm one of the few YouTubers that probably bothers to put end credits on everything. I try to credit every source. The source shows are, you know, the actual shows I'm using, Letterman, Carson, whatever, Conan. And then, of course, video preservation is my name for the YouTuber who has put it up for the world to see. We really have to be thankful to all of these, you know, armchair warriors who have delivered all this content to YouTube for all of us to be able to find. Melee was supposed to be a series of shorts. Snyder and Barrett together was one shrieking peacock too many, even for the Peacock Network. The first one was short, all the other ones have been long.
Magic Johnson has no ability whatsoever to talk, and he's hosting a talk show.
Sure enough, the next video I did was Magic Johnson versus Howard Stern. The original video that really inspired it was the video that I pulled from the Internet Archive, I think, which was like the 4-hour supercut of Howard Stern's ranting on the Magic Hour. I think I got through like an hour of it, and I was like, I've got enough material already. And he's kind of starting to repeat himself. I probably should listen to the whole thing. It might have got really weird, huh?
I read about these booty parties that you used to have. And I'm dying to know. Nobody ever asked you the real question.
Colbert v. Corden was a nice idea. It was sparked from the Story of Late Night miniseries.
Colbert versus
Corden! Because they mentioned that they were going to flip shows, and I thought, what a drama. But guess what? They didn't flip shows, and there was almost no drama.
If they offer you 11:30, are you going to take it or not?
That's never gonna. It's never gonna happen.
This video was blocked. This was hard blocked more than anything else. Almost every clip in it was claimed and blocked worldwide when I'm trying to cover the newer shows. Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, James Corden, they're trying to, have a big YouTube presence, and therefore they are much more likely to shut down the competition. But interestingly, when I started recutting a lot of these videos as short YouTube shorts, I found that their copyright system, at least at the time, seemed to be a lot more lax, and a lot of things that would have got blocked on my YouTube channel were not blocked on shorts.
Welcome to Later, the crown and NBC's late night jewel.
So Colbert v. Corden was recut as a 2-part YouTube short, so only 2 minutes long. You have to invest if you want to watch that story. And that's really probably as much drama as there was to be found in it.
There was a feeling at CBS that James Corden could be even bigger if he was on before Stephen Colbert.
I grouped several of my shorts into what I called extended cuts. I did an extended cut of the Leno trapped in the closet, which I will say this is probably my favorite thumbnail that I ever put together. I hate to pat myself on the back too much, but best thumbnail ever, right? Conan Memories was the first time that I actually put myself on camera for the Late Night Saga. I think I might have already done a review by then. Conan was ending his run on late night television after 28 years, and I was there at the beginning, and he had a very long run, and I was there at the end of it. So I thought it was appropriate to try to summarize some thoughts about the entire thing, just to sort of note the, passage of time. This was followed by one of my favorite things I've ever made, which was Conan Begins, my fake movie trailer for a superhero Conan.
When I was a little boy, Wallace, Julie, I'm fast.
He's looking for Bruce Wayne's mom and dad. They're over in that alley.
There's almost no views and no comments on it. I don't think anybody has found it or cares about it at all, but hey, if you like the Late Night Saga, please give it a watch. It's one of the favorite things I ever made.
Late night hosts will unite this evening to shine a spotlight on climate change.
A real life event started happening in late night. That was Climate Night. It still takes me a few weeks to put it together, so by the time it came out, it was a little past its shelf life, perhaps.
These sad sacks of pandering who are all coming together to fight climate change for just one precious night.
And this video can be viewed everywhere except Japan. Thanks, James Corden. I started thinking that there's more to the Late Night Saga than just conflicts, than just incidents or events that happened, that maybe, I could just do a spotlight on a single show or a single performer.
We're talking about doing a late night talk show.
Mm-hmm. Just exactly how late, Pat?
You'll probably notice that most of my spotlights have been focused on shows that didn't last very long. I'm not sure that Spike Feresten was worth being the longest video I've ever produced.
Do you remember the announcer's lounge? I think it was on the second floor or even the first floor. When you came in from 6th Avenue, if you went right, and in there would be Don Pardo and like 7 other announcers warming up every morning, going Poughkeepsie, Tallahassee.
The fact that he worked at 30 Rock and he got to talk about 30 Rock behind the scenes, and SNL, and David Letterman, and Space Ghost, and just a bunch of stuff before he even got his own show.
We found out the people who are watching Fox Saturdays at midnight are generally people who are stoned.
I'm learning as I go. I don't know who most of these characters are until I dive into the research and find out about them. I love Monique's set. I love the penthouse, the elevator. It's a great entrance for people. I like just sort of hanging out in the chairs with the cityscape behind them. I think it's one of the best sets. The Women of 130 was kind of a follow-up to the Three's a Crowd, and I think it was a great spiritual successor to that video.
I'm pretty excited to be hosting this show because it's the first in a weekly series of a very exciting new concept in late night television.
That was a really fun video to put together. Went together quite quickly compared to Three's a Crowd, and I really enjoyed it. And you never know when something quick is going to actually interest people. I came out with a video called Rebecca Romijn O'Brien, just in time for Valentine's Day, and probably like my 3rd most watched video ever now. Maybe it's in the top 5 at least. I didn't do much to edit it. I can't take too much credit for that one. I like the thumbnail. Maybe the thumbnail is what gets the views. One of my big labors of love, anybody on my second channel that saw my debrief about the Tom Snyder project, which was something I got into after I did Three's a Crowd. I spent like 3 years trying to find every episode of Tom Snyder that I could and try to make a comprehensive list of all the episodes because it seemed to be something that no one else was working on. And then I managed to get in contact with Anne-Marie Snyder, Tom's daughter, and we hatched the idea to put together this 50th anniversary video. All the clips I had gathered during my 3 years of searching finally got used, at least in that video, so it kind of justified all that time I put in. And getting to meet and work with Anne-Marie Snyder was such a delight. She gave me, the greatest gift that anyone could give me, which was encouragement. So I thank you for that, Miss Snyder, as always. I'm always intending to do more spotlights. Let's talk about this show that existed, and let's talk about this show. I want to talk about Night Flight, and that's just come back to YouTube and has a YouTube channel. I want to talk about, the Midnight Special more. That YouTube channel is pretty active now, too. They've been releasing complete episodes. There's a million things I want to talk about. There's only so much time in the day. I do what I can. If you've enjoyed the Late Night Saga, please go over to Channel 2. Channel 2 is where I keep it copyright free as much as possible so that I can monetize it, so that I can make a little money to justify my hobby, to justify to my wife, why do I spend so much time in the garage making these videos? Here's a list of reviews. I review documentaries and or dramatization movies, usually about late night television, or some of the stars of late night television have gone off and done something else, and I cover that. Check out Late Night with the Devil. Check out Saturday Night. Those are my favorite ones I've done recently. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a series of debriefs also on Channel 2. This is where I talk about the behind the scenes of the making of the Late Night Saga, or the making of whatever other videos I've made. Hey, it's a lot of entertainment for free. Check it out. I had a lot of fun this anniversary, reliving the past moments, and I, look forward to 7 more, or 70 more. And to all the keyboard warriors out there that keep me going with all your comments, they still kind of roll in every day, and I read every single one that pops up. They pop up on my phone, and I read them. Thank you to Ely Mueller. You comment on every single video that I make. Thanks for doing that. And we'll see you next time.